Tonight we're going to have Professor Richard Baer is going to talk with us. He has been at Thunderbird for 8 years. He has won various outstanding professor awards and done a great job while he's been here. Before that, 35 years in the corporate world. I'm going to have him tell you a little bit more about himself, but let's just welcome him with a round of applause.
Thanks, Keaton. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of the experiences that I've had living around the world. As Keaton said, I spent 35 years in business before I came to Thunderbird. Most of that time was overseas. I lived in 10 countries. I started my career in New York with Colgate-Palmolive, and then they moved me around the world. Went to Australia, to Thailand, to Guatemala, from Guatemala to Italy, from Italy to South Africa, from South Africa to Venezuela. Then I started working in the Valley with the Dial Corporation, also in consumer products, and there I ended up living in Mexico and Buenos Aires. It's been a fantastic business career where I've ended up fighting the big giants like Unilever and Procter & Gamble in the world of marketing and pricing. Where I gained my pricing expertise really was in the battles between these big giants, and I'll be sharing some of those insights with you today. So the fun that I get from being here with you is to share some of the learnings that I've had and how it's translated into a better understanding of pricing. If anybody's got any questions as we go through this, just please raise your hand. We are doing a live streaming today, so what we'll try to do is we'll try to give you the microphone so you can ask your question. If not, I'll repeat the question so we can answer it. But if you have any questions as we go through this, please just raise your hand. I appreciate that. So we're going to talk today about pricing. Pricing is something we all know. The question is, why do we have to understand better the psychology of pricing? And how does understanding the psychology behind pricing help us make better pricing decisions? So we're going to spend some time figuring out what are some of the emotions behind how we price things and how we buy things, and some of the psychological effects that impact us. Why do we need to understand that? Well, unfortunately, when we talk to people about pricing, they tend to lie. They just don't tell the truth. How much would you be willing to pay for a brand new Mercedes-Benz? And the answer is, well, like $25,000. Why would I pay more than that? Well, if Mercedes listened to that, instead of pricing their S-Class at $120,000, they'd be in real trouble. We lie. Why do we lie? When companies come to talk to us about how much would you be willing to pay for something, why do we lie? Anybody have any ideas why we lie? Yeah, why do you think? Yeah, okay, so the answer is we don't want to pay more because we think when someone's asking us the question, they're going to take that information and then use that information to price their pasta at the restaurant or price their dog walking service. They listen to what we say, and then obviously we always take the low side approach. So what we have to do is we've got to figure out the truth. And to figure out the truth, we have to understand the psychology of how we answer questions. So usually in the world of pricing, there's this wonderful scale. If the price is too high, we go, you've got to be kidding. If the price is too low, people go, what's wrong? There's something wrong with it. So we're going to have a quick exercise. This one's for the guys only. Just the guys. Anybody know what this is? Yeah. It's a purse. Let's leave it at that. It's a purse. Guys say it's a purse. Now this is over to the women. What is it actually? It's a Hermes Birkin alligator purse that sells for $45,000. Or you're kidding. So you have a choice, a nice Tesla 3, well equipped, or a purse. Come on, you've got to be kidding. All right, it's not, let's be fair. This is just for the women. What is this? It's a watch. That's all it is. Just a watch. For the guys, what is it? It's a Henry Winston Tourbillon number 4 that sells for $700,000. You've got to be kidding. So in the range of pricing, we usually look at that and we say, okay, something really cheap, something's wrong with it. Have you ever had, anybody had that experience maybe? Find something and you go, wait a minute, it's way too cheap. And then you look on it and it says this HP computer has been refurbished to original factory specifications. That's why it's half price. Anybody have a gee, it's too cheap story? No? A lot of times, by the way, we go and we buy knockoffs or we buy counterfeit goods. Right? And we look at a watch and we go, this is an original Rolex, but it's 30 bucks. Remember the salesman in Bangkok at the public market there. Somebody asked him for the Rolex was 30 bucks. He says, is it real? He goes, watch fake, time real. So we have this feeling when we look at pricing that, oh my goodness, that's really expensive. But at least for us, you know, the watch, at least it tells time. So I was reading the other day, they found the Titanic a number of years ago, and they have taken the steel out of the base of the Titanic and made a watch. And they called it the Titanic Watch. And it sells for $700,000. Said they were going to make 48 of them, and they sold out within 15 minutes. Crazy, right? You got to be kidding. How about this? So I got this mailer at home, and it says, take 50% off free pool service. So it's already free. So I'm already worried, my God, what, I mean, does the guy do? I mean, maybe he drives into my driveway and waves the chlorine rag in front of the driveway and then he leaves. But now we can get 50% off. So I start feeling that there's something wrong with this pool service, and I didn't call Bruce. JCPenney, a company that's really struggling at the moment. You used to have special deals when you wanted to go shopping at JCPenney or Kohl's. I don't know if anybody shop at either JCPenney or Kohl's. I mean, Kohl's is like famous for 50% off. How do you feel? How do you feel? Can I get your name, please? Yeah. How do you feel when you go in and something's 50% off?
I mean, the offer is quite attractive. I mean, when you say 50%, yes, you automatically, I start calculating like what is the base rate, and based on that,
Yeah.
how much discount am I getting?
Yeah. Good. Because what happens if you're the shopper and you see 50% off? Usually we go, wow, that's really great for me. But if you're the brand If you're the company and you find that JCPenney is doing things at 50% off, you can't be feeling very good, because that means the value that people are supposed to place on your product is 100 today and 50 tomorrow. It's not good. It's not good. What we're going to talk about is some ways to get inside the mind of the consumer when we look at those pricing. There's a bunch of effects. The first one we're going to talk about is the reference price effect. It's pretty straightforward. The reference price effect talks about a situation where you see something either was this price yesterday and now it's this price today, or maybe our competitor is at $700 and we're at $500. It's a comparison in some way of what we're trying to communicate as terms of the value. And I have got a rule here that is the more, the people are much more sensitive to the price, the higher that product's price is relative to the substitute. So let's talk about what do we mean by reference price. Back to that guy in JCPenney, the ex-CEO. If you remember what he did, he came in from Apple and said, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to eliminate all of these deals. I think they found out that 94% of all products sold at JCPenney were sold on a deal, which means usually that people are only shopping for bargains. And he found out that we learned that she prefers a sale. At times she loves a coupon, and always she needs a reference price. That was like a week before he was fired. Because he said, no sales, let's just change the price. Matter of fact, anybody following what Amazon is doing right now? Sort of in the business press a lot. Amazon is walking away from having a stated list price. They were getting into trouble because they would put on their website, let's say something had a list price of $800 and they were selling it for $400, whereas the list price on the company website might have been $500. So they were overstating the list price in order to make the deal look even better. And right now they're walking away from doing that. So here might be a pretty good example of what I'm talking about in terms of reference price. How about this? You've got a stunning watch that's 84% off. So the list price is $12.95. It was $289, and now it's just $199. What's the idea behind a reference price? Anybody want to give me an insight? When you see that the watch started at $1,295 and now it's available for $199, how do you feel about that watch? Yeah. Keaton, can you pass that? Thank you.
I guess you set a sense of urgency, like I got to go up and grab this deal before
Get
it goes
it
away.
now. It's hot, right? Let alone the model, the watch price. But yeah, there's something going on. I better get on it now. Matter of fact, sometimes travel websites, have you ever seen where it says only one seat left, right? Or do it now, only one room at this price available. That's giving you a reference. That's sort of saying, okay, here's what you need to help make your decision. How about this one? Why don't you read this, see if you decide it's a good reference price or not. So without poking fingers at a particular grocery store that I saw the other day, they had an ad for farmland bacon. Buy one, get one free at $9.99. Buy one, get one free. The everyday price of this bacon, because I shop there all the time, is $4.50. I actually called the CFO of this grocery store because there were 2 items in the ads that both were misleading. Right? So that's the problem with sometimes with reference price. You know, we have an unbelievable reference price, like this one. And then we reduce it to make it look good. So there's a couple of things about reference pricing. One of the things that research has shown is that when we show reference prices, we should show them in order of high to low. Think about this a little bit when you walk into a car showroom, brand new car showroom. Is the cheapest car right in front of you when you walk in? Or is it the 7 Series BMW, you know, with tinted windows and Magna Turbo engine and $120,000? The answer is we, as marketers, have learned that if we show you something expensive first as a reference price, then we come up and show you this really beautiful Series 3 for only $43,000. You're going, wow, wait a minute. That BMW was going to cost me $120. Now I'm going to get a really good BMW for much, much less. Anybody shop recently for houses, by the way, or rental properties? Maybe? You did again? Keaton, you want to pass this? What does the real estate agent usually do when they show you properties? Do they show you the cheapest property first?
I don't know. We can ask my real estate agent who's sitting back there.
Where? Let's talk to the real estate agent. What usually happens when you try to show a house? Do you mind sharing with us? The price, yeah. Thank you.
Actually, lately there's been quite a few things that's been going on. So I don't know if you guys really want to get into it because I might need maybe 3 more hours to just talk about it.
How about in terms of price? I mean, I don't know. Are you coached or maybe helped to say let's give the client a range of options and let's start with the most expensive one first, maybe?
Absolutely. I mean, the marketing, in terms of marketing or in terms of just narrowing down what someone wants, okay, I mean, the rules are still apply whether or not you're looking at, a $1,200 watch that's priced at 84% off, or you're looking at, $1 million property in, North Scottsdale. So ideally, you would start at the top so that you can hopefully end up somewhere in the middle.
Exactly.
Granted, there are also other strategies that, you can use, and I personally don't necessarily believe one should start, high and then hopefully end up in the middle. I believe that there should be some, legwork done in the front end if you were to, work with the luxury item or, real estate in particular. But generally speaking, yes, you're, want to start high and, ended up in the middle. So.
Perfect. Thank you. Give you another example, restaurant menus. Believe it or not, there's a wonderful science about restaurant prices. One of the things is traditionally when we look at a menu, I'll do it this way, we go left to right. And our eye moves to the right because usually that's where the prices are. Okay? So what we've understood from all of the science is you should put the most expensive entree in a little box at the upper right corner of your menu. Lobster Cioppino, $59.99. People are going to go across the menu, see $59.99. Then when they get to the ossobuco at $24, they go, well, that's not so bad. At least it's not $59. Restaurant menu science is really interesting in terms of how people list items. Again, usually more expensive items first on a menu. People get down and they find the chicken. And then they order the chicken, especially if it's a first date. Yeah. But it's reference price science. We know when we see a particular number, then we put that in our head, and we start to then figure out what's right for us. So have a look at these 2 examples and tell me which one, based on what I just said, is probably the better way to do your pricing. One on the left says, here's your basic plan at $375. Then here's your mid-price plan at $599. And then your most expensive plan at $899. Or start with the gold, then to the silver, then to the bronze. Which is more effective? That one, sure, because then we start out, we say, well, if I really want everything, it's $197 a month. But maybe I can get by with only $27 a month. This has tremendous impact when you put your price lists together in your business, or when you try to price whatever, either services or products that you're selling. If you understand how reference pricing works and how the psychology of setting a benchmark price and then offering some sort of scale or discount, you understand how we think. Probably the trickiest part of new product pricing is just this. When I introduce a product, brand new product, should I introduce it with a low price or should I introduce it with a high price? Most people will say, oh, in order to get trial, you should have a low price. Well, what happens? Why is that wrong? Cafe, you want to give it a try? Do you still have the microphone for Keaton? Can you give it to Cafe for a second?
Here, just keep it.
Keep it over here. We've got a left dominant brain here, right?
We should have just mic'd them from the beginning.
Well, once you set the price, if you introduce it, you can't raise it up again after the fact because it's going to go negative, very negative
Because
in your
people
mind.
will what? They will
Rebel.
They'll rebel. They've formed a what?
Well, see, if I bought it once, I wouldn't buy it again because if the price went up, it's like, no, I'll go buy something else. Or if a competitor was even a little bit cheaper, I'd go buy that.
Got it. Can you just hand it to the lady behind you?
Similar opinion. I think the first time if you place the price on the item, then people are going to remember it. And also, that's a first impression. That's the first time you introduce the price, and people will associate with the value. So if it's low, then it's difficult to...
The point would be, please, maybe if we have one quick learning from today, when you're pricing a new product, please don't price it low to try to sell more, because that means that's the value that you're assigning the product. That's the value that you're giving to it. It's okay maybe to have a 5-day special promotion or some kind of discount. By the way, I'll look at Guy for a second. Is tuition ever discounted? Guy, do we discount to? Is there 50% off deals on tuition? We don't call it discounts though. What do we call it? Scholarships. Yeah. Scholarships. Oh my God. When I first looked at that, I went, it's just a discount. I mean, we call it a scholarship. But we have this high retail price to say, okay, you know, it costs, how much does it cost to go to Harvard, MBA? $125,000. What does the average student at Harvard pay? $25,000. Why? Matter of fact, Harvard, if they wanted to, they have such a big endowment, they could actually make everybody's tuition zero if they wanted to for the next, like, 20 years. But it's reference price. They want to be seen as the school with highest tuition. Okay. Reference prices, we're getting so much more information these days. In the old days, when you used to shop for a car, you had the MSRP. Anybody remember what MSRP stands for? Go. Yeah, manufacturer suggested retail price. And that's where you used to negotiate. with what's on the sticker. It used to be called what's on the sticker of a car. Now we have information from companies like Kelley Blue Book or Edmunds. We know exactly the invoice price. The invoice price is the price that the dealer is paying for the car. And when I went shopping for a Honda, here you can see the invoice price. Too bad we can't use the little pointer. Here you can see the invoice price. Here was the manufacturer selling price. And then they give me the price for all the cars that were sold in my zip code. So I can go now to the dealer with much more information, and he says, well, you know, this car sells for X under MSRP. I go, we're starting from the wrong reference price. The reference price now should be the invoice price. Sure, we have much, much better information. Anybody see the website Camel, Camel, Camel? Oh, okay, make a little joke. It's easy to remember, right? Camel, Camel, Camel. Have a look at it. What it does is it tracks prices for you of a variety of items. So you can actually watch what happens in real time. Let's say you want to buy a HD TV or something like that. Just type it in there, and it tracks the pricing from Amazon on a number of items. And so you'll be able to see where it starts and you know, where it ends. What about this? What do we think? Consumer products, do we see a reference price there? In this case, it's Walmart's everyday low price. They're giving you a coupon, 2 weeks only, better act quickly, and it's $5.97. Perfect example of reference pricing. Back to the automobile reference price. So here he's actually taken it exactly what we were talking about before. Here's 1 penny under invoice. 1 penny under invoice. By the way, how can a dealership sell me a car for less than they paid for it? Anybody know the answer to that? We won't let you answer it yet because you're not mic'd up yet. Anybody know the answer to that? Yeah, Keaton, you give him the microphone. How can we sell a car to a customer for less than we paid for it?
Well, in general, besides that, they have holdback, flooring, and promotional costs that they get. That's an X number of price of what the invoice is. Yeah. And the quicker they get it off their showroom, the more of that money they get.
Great. They almost have, most dealerships have also a volume incentive. Let's say you're the Ford dealer. If you sell 100 Fords in the month of July, the Ford company gives them a $1,000 rebate for every car. Or at the end of the year, if they sold more than 1,000 cars, let's say, they may get a $2,000 rebate per car that was sold. So there's a lot of room to negotiate when you buy a car. Any questions about the reference price effect? Okay, the next one's called a difficult comparison effect. Marketers do this on purpose. What they do is they give you a comparison so that it's so confusing, you throw your hands up in the air and buy something for something other than price. They confuse you on purpose. Marketers do these things? Are they really as bad as? I don't think they're as bad as it sounds. The difficult comparison effect rule is buyers are much less sensitive to any price the more difficult the comparison is. The more difficult we make it, the less sensitive they are to price. This is the industry that's absolutely fantastic in confusing us. There's Pinot Gris, and there's Pinot Grigio, and there's Chardonnay, and there's Cabernet Sauvignon, blah, 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 blah. And it's from the, the high mountains of Tuscany or the low rivers of New Zealand. And this wine spectator judges it at 90 points, and this one judges it at 93 points. What do the points mean? What do they mean? We don't know, right? It's so confusing. So what happens when it gets confusing? What do you end up doing usually? You buy a price point. You say, okay, I'm not going to spend more than $9.99. And you go to Costco and you buy a bottle of wine for $9.99 and you hope it's good. That's why Yellowtail, anybody familiar with the brand Yellowtail from Australia? They were so successful. What did they do? They simplified the whole thing. You know, they had like 2 whites and 2 reds, and they took out all of the blah, 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 you know, the minerals of the Yarra River, and, you know, they took all that stuff away, and they said, okay, look, you know, $7.99, here you go. Nice and easy. There's so much money to be made in so many industries if we would walk away from the difficult comparison effect. So I spent most of my life in this area in household products. Big competitor was Procter & Gamble, and as you know, they now sell Procter & Gamble Tide Pods. So here you go. Tide liquid, $13.99 for 68 loads. I'm sorry, Tide powder, $13.99, 68 loads. Tide liquid, 64 loads. Tide pods, 66 count. What do we mean by loads? Well, I guess it's like the clothes that we throw in the washer. And did you know that the pods were more expensive than the powder or the liquid? All right, 26 cents per load. Why do you think Procter & Gamble, who's, you know, based on introducing technological advances and at premium prices, does it surprise you at all that they're trying to trade you up from powder to liquid to the pods so that they can make more money? I mean, it shouldn't surprise you. But it's a really complicated comparison, so much so you go, I don't know, I guess I'll buy the pods. They're so easy, I don't have to measure them, I just, you know, throw it in. Method made it even more complicated. 50 loads sounded like a pretty good thing, but then it says, okay, it's 36 pants, 142 underwear, and 115 t-shirts. Wow, just think of the money to be made if we simplified this. Difficult comparison effect is a great way to generate extra profit because we're too confused. So I did a fun calculation with the Honda Fit, the e-car. And what they said was, you know, this new Honda electric Fit, it gets incredible 118 miles per gallon. Now, if anybody who drives a car, they figure, okay, 20 miles to the gallon, that's a great deal. This is like 118? Well, but the real question is, electric cars cost electricity. So shouldn't the real comparison be cost per 100 miles? How much does it cost me to operate my car and drive it for 100 miles? And how much does it cost me to operate my e-car for 100 miles? So I did the math. And no surprise, it takes about 14 years to break even if you want to buy the e-car. But they make it so difficult because they talk about miles per gallon. They don't talk about what's really relevant to the e-car consumer, which is how much is my electricity going to cost me in order to drive 100 miles. The more complicated they make it, the more opportunity there is to price the e-car more expensive. Because first of all, there's this green halo, right? I'm doing the right thing, so I'll be willing to pay a little bit more. Oh. Great battle going on between Walmart and Fry's here in the Valley. Walmart says they're the cheapest grocery store in the Valley. Fry's says they're the cheapest grocery store in the Valley. Why is this comparison so difficult? Fry's says we're cheaper than, by the way, good reference price as well, right? Reference price to Walmart, Albertsons, Safeway, and Bashas'. So what Fry's does, of course, is they chose all the products that they had on sale that week, compared it to the prices at Walmart, which were not on sale. Walmart then did the opposite. They took all the products that were not on sale at Fry's and all the products that were on sale at Walmart, and both can say, we're cheaper. Difficult comparison effect. We find it all over the place. Okay, I'm going to read you this deal from Ashley Furniture. You have a choice. You can get 24% off when you spend $3,000, and then you get 6 months financing. Or if you spend $2,500, you get 18% off and 12% financing. Or you can get 15% off if you spend $2,000 and you get 18 months to pay. Or you just get 10% off for somebody who spends $1,000 and you get 36 months to pay. Can anybody figure out how much they're going to pay? Which is the better deal? Yeah. It's so difficult. But somehow they must do it on purpose, right? Somebody had to design this brain teaser, right? I think they probably just wanted you to come on in because everything's on sale. These guys are the worst. Try to buy an iPad or a Kindle or whatever. It's really tough. And so what happens is when the comparisons are so difficult, you say, I trust Apple. I'm just going to buy the Apple brand. It's too confusing. I don't understand Mega Giggles. I don't understand, Master Bytes. I can't figure out any of this stuff. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to trust the brand. I'm going to pay more. Airlines do it? Sure, they make it difficult. Every seat almost these days is priced differently. People are starting to charge more to sit on the aisle than in the middle seat. Of course, we know they charge when a different time of day, different day of the week, whether it's nonstop or direct. Sure, very difficult to compare. But when we know that it's difficult, so the Orbitz comes out with an Orbitz matrix that says, I tell you what, I'm going to try to simplify this for you. Airlines are trying to make it more complicated, so I'm going to overcome the difficult comparison effect and give you a tool in order to do it. Anybody use this at all or a similar tool when they go shop? What happened when you, makes it easier for you or?
It makes it easier, but I got 4 tabs open across the top with each different site
Yeah.
comparisons.
So you got 4 tabs open. It's still, right?
Yeah, no.
It makes you work.
Yeah, no, we tried to rent a car.
Yeah.
The amount of time I spent was probably not worth the $18 I saved at the end.
So the comment was I tried to rent a car, but the $18 that I likely saved by going to 4 different websites probably wasn't worth it. So you went with a brand you trust. Maybe you went with Enterprise or whatever, and
Closest to the airport.
yeah. So you choose on something else, and then maybe price suffers. This was just in the paper the other day that sort of says, okay, I'm going to try to simplify this. This also is one industry that's incredibly complex, trying to figure out what's the best plan for your family for a mobile phone. So Sprint's trying to make it more simple. Any questions, by the way, before we move on about the difficult comparison effect? Anybody have an example maybe that they lived through recently where they had to fight through? We have a rent-a-car example. Anybody maybe on the right side of the room today? Someone who lived through an experience where the difficultness of the process made you give up, and maybe Keaton, can we? Yeah, health insurance. Oh my God. Right? Co-pays, deductibles. Yeah, doctors, health insurance. Yeah. In-network, out-of-network. Yeah. Terrible. So what does that do, by the way? It gives them the freedom to charge more because it's so confusing. Okay, the next one's the switching cost effect. Switching cost is a situation where you've already made an investment in something, whether it could be psychological or it could be monetary, and it really hurts you to change. The rule there is we're much less sensitive to the price, the greater the cost of switching. Give you a personal example, then hopefully you can share one that you've had. So I'm a Cox cable user. And I got a short note in the mail the other day that my bill's going up from $130 to $170 a month. And I went, okay, so I went to Costco and I saw the price. They had, I think it was DirecTV, a special deal. But you have to have like a satellite and they have to drill holes in the wall. And I'm going, oh my God, maybe they won't show up on time. I have to wait 4 hours. And maybe they won't have all the channels that I've gotten so used to. And maybe their DVR won't be so good. And I'm making all of these excuses for not switching. I've invested all these years, in this, and I couldn't walk away. So I tried to negotiate, right? As a good pricing professor, of course I negotiated to try to figure out a way. Told them that I was moving to Dish or DirecTV or whoever they didn't want me to move to, and made it difficult for them to say no, right? Anybody have a situation where they had a switching cost, maybe a cell phone plan that you didn't want to change? Here's one maybe happens to some people. Babysitter. Your babysitter says, my hourly rate's going up from $10 to $12. The cost to find a new babysitter that you trust with your kids, it's probably not worth the whole, should I spend hours interviewing people? And you go, oh, it hurts. It hurts to change. Okay, I'll pay him or her the extra $2. Yeah.
I had put my stuff in a storage unit with a special rate, and 2 months later they jacked it up to $5.
Yeah.
And obviously it's extremely inconvenient to move my.
You got to move your stuff.
I don't even live there anymore. So.
Right. Let alone was the story over, but he moved. You really got to be faster, Keaton.
Hello?
Yeah, got it.
I don't personally own an iPhone, but I assume that is very much the feeling when they go to buy a new iPhone 6 months after they just spent $600 on one.
Yeah.
And now it's $650.
Yeah.
And well, do I want to go to Verizon and get a different phone? And I don't know. I'll just pay the extra $50. And then 6 months later, it's $700, and Apple's good at it.
Well, even better, they make people stand in line to do it. Oh, Keaton, before you go away? Or can you?
The rental prices, you're already living in a house similar to his storage unit. If you're in a house, you don't want to move, especially if kids or a family, you don't want to change school districts. So
don't want to change the school district, right. So rent goes up.
You're like, well, I can afford it. I'll just, cut back on Starbucks or something like that.
Yeah. So we as marketers, we know this, unfortunately, and we take advantage of you as consumers. Sorry, guy. So suppose you're at school and you've given up your job and you come here for your MBA and the tuition goes up in the second semester. Why do we feel comfortable as Thunderbird administrators? Why do we feel comfortable doing that? What are you going to experience? You're not going to move to another city. You're not going to change your MBA program. You're not going to leave all the great friends that you just made, right? Unfortunately, tuition, I think at ASU goes up. Any idea? Yeah, we don't do that. But I think the tuition at I don't want to overquote, but it's been going up on an average of 7% a year, something like that. Yeah, It hurts. It hurts to change. I gave my story about DirecTV trying to change your phones, another one. Any questions about that particular effect? Okay, next one's called the price quality effect. This one should be maybe a little bit more straightforward. This describes an idea that you have before the purchase that you think a low quality product should have a low price and a high quality product should have a high price. Okay? The price quality effect. So there are a lot of people who shop at Walmart. Why? What do they feel about the prices at Walmart? They feel the prices are lower. By the way, they are. For those of you who live in Phoenix, Scottsdale, if you want to buy your groceries, you absolutely should buy your groceries at Walmart. And I'm not getting paid for a public announcement. The people who buy luxury goods, when you see the Louis Vuitton luggage and the high price, what is your interpretation? That high price means the quality. It should deliver high quality. So you see something that's got a high price to it, and you immediately think, okay, that's a high quality item. Or you see something that's priced low, and you think, that can't be any good. So if you're thinking of getting a present for your spouse or your girlfriend, try to stay away from a low quality emerald, because it probably is not very good. There's a shop in Phoenix called Tuesday Morning. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. They have a very interesting pricing policy. So they price the product at list price, and then the next week they take 20% off. Then the following week they take 40% off. Then the next week they take 80% off. And then the last week that the item's on sale, they take 90% off. Same quality item, but they have a sliding scale. What is that? What do you feel when you see that scale? What is it? What are you worried about? Or what are you not worried about? Scarcity. You're going, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the first week and see if there's something there that I like. And then it's a gamble. Do I wait one more week and it might be gone and I'll get 40% off? So in this case, it's the quality stays the same, but the effect in your mind is even more complex. It's like Russian roulette with your sweater. The price effort effect. Here's the one where what we think is the more somebody spends time doing something, it should cost more. So the higher the labor involved, we're more willing to pay that high price. We think we're much less sensitive when we think it's handmade or tailor-made. So we think in our mind that if there's a lot of work that's been done on something, that it has earned this higher price. Anybody familiar with this coffee? Oh, okay. Would you, Keaton, would you give her the, I think it's the most expensive coffee in the world. And how?
It's made with poo.
It's made with, yes. The coffee beans are given to an animal called a civet who digests and excretes the bean, and then the coffee is made from the excreted bean. So there's a lot of work that goes into this coffee, And people somehow are willing to pay a lot of money for it. Yeah, did you have more to add?
Around $45 a cup.
You want to turn on the...
Yep, it's somewhere around $45 a cup. It's artisan coffee. So.
Yeah. But it's not just that. Bespoke suits, right? We're willing to pay more if the suit is, tailored to us, or if a travel agency gets a particular tour specially designed for us. We get to, see the Pope, which we wouldn't normally get. We're willing to pay more for something that's handcrafted. Any questions about handcrafted or not necessarily handcrafted? Anybody have a buying experience, Guy?
Panasonic in Japan got into the custom-made bicycle. So you literally could go into a bike shop and they measured the bike to fit you. So, from the length of your legs and everything like that.
Yeah.
Panasonic could make that bike in less than 48 hours, but they made you wait a month
There you go.
for delivery.
Right. Yeah, the idea would
To
be...
feel the value of that.
Excellent, excellent. Well, maybe you've seen Nike. You take your favorite photograph. Maybe it's a dress, or maybe it's a beach scene or whatever, and you send the photograph to Nike, and they'll make you shoes in your favorite colors based on the photograph. Is the shoe more expensive than a regular Nike shoe? Sure it is. Sure, because it's handcrafted. I like that example. Anybody else maybe have an example of a... Yeah. Oh, this is so much more work for Keaton.
I think that we're seeing it right now with craft beer. I
Yeah.
think everybody's drinking craft beer, and
Great idea.
they say it's rare, or they say that it's the best, and you'll pay $50 for a bottle of beer when you could get the same size bottle of beer with the same alcohol content for $6.
Excellent. Yeah, craft beer. And there was one back there. Oh, well.
Get up here.
Well done. Thank you.
I don't know if anyone played golf, but
Yeah.
fitting for golf clubs, it's quite the
Sure.
adventure. And you can go from getting something off the rack for $200 to spending a couple of $1,000s for a set of clubs easily.
There's a new big boy in town. Anybody familiar with a guy named Bob Parsons? You know who Bob Parsons is? Who's Bob Parsons? The GoDaddy. And he's now got a tailor-made, I shouldn't use tailor-made, that's the wrong way. He's now got a individually fitted set of golf clubs for $5,000. Yeah, sure.
On the side note, for those that actually do like golf, the city does have a ping factor in the ping store.
Yeah.
I was told by someone I know personally that it could literally take a couple of days for the ping to make your custom clubs, and they do make you wait anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks to get your clubs back. So
Good.
kind of the same thing.
Kind of the same thing. Good. Oh, the other one? Sure. Winona?
Afghan rugs.
Yeah, sure.
You knew I had to bring the Afghan example,
Yeah,
Rick.
absolutely. You want to explain what you mean?
So they spend, weeks and months putting together, depending on the size of the rug, obviously. It's incredibly labor intensive, and you can spend $1,000 on a fairly common sized rug, sometimes more, depending on the pattern. But it's all handmade.
Yeah.
And they're famous for it. So you pay a premium for that. Kind of like cuckoo clocks from Germany, right?
Sure. That's what I mean in terms of understanding the psychology, that if we say, this was especially designed for, your body type, or specially designed, usually that gives us some permission to be able to charge more. Okay? Okay, well, my monitor just went out, but that's okay. The end benefit effect. This one is a little bit more complicated. End benefit effect is when something that you are buying is a small piece of something bigger. And so therefore you don't pay attention to the small piece out of the big purchase. Maybe a good example, anybody get married recently, by the way, or gone through the wedding party purchase? Okay, we don't want to embarrass you at all, but when it comes to weddings, what are some of the things a wedding party pricing might include? Maybe food?
Food, drink, party favors, DJ, photographer, flowers, decorations, cake, honeymoon venue, music.
So I read somewhere that the average wedding in America, average wedding cost now is $27,000. And if someone says the flowers are going to cost $600, most people will go, oh, I'm already, well, not I, mom and dad are already spending $20,000, so why not get the white irises for the centerpiece? It's only $600. So when the overall price is high, we're very insensitive to some of the things inside that decision. So if you buy a brand new car and they say, well, we are going to tint your windows. Car costs $38,000 and the window tinting is $900. You go, well, I'm already spending $38,000. You don't question the $900 of the window tinting. Maybe it should be $200. Maybe it should be $300. But the end benefit effect is then when there's some big expense, psychologically we tend to dismiss some of the minor costs. Yes? Oh, perfect example. The minibar in a hotel, right? So the room costs $300 and the Coke costs $8, right? And you're going, well, I'm here, I'm in Vegas, I'm going to win anyway. I'll buy the Coke. Yes?
Do you, when you said the 38 and then the 9,
Yeah.
38,000 and then 9, my head went, well, that's 39,000, that's too much. So, so is there
$39,000 for a wedding? That's just,
Well,
for a car.
is there data to see if people's decisions on this subject
Yeah.
are shakier if that price changes that large number? Like actually, goes from 40 to 42.
Yeah,
even though it's only $2,000 in that 40, but hey, that just jumped, so.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic that I love to talk about.
Just email Winona.
Number sensitivity, right? If you go from 39,000 to 40,600, that's a huge mental leap. We're going over a mental hurdle that now costs, that's $40,000. When we hear 39,200, our mind hears 30 something. Yes, there's a 9 there, but we forget it. And if it goes over that number hurdle, then I would say yes. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of wonderful pricing research behind the power of, setting your price at $19.99. By the way, what's the worst number? So $19.99, that's a really good number. That's fine. 98 is even better, by the way. 97 is the best. Research has shown that numbers ending in 97 in terms of pricing get the best positive reaction from people. Any idea why? Want to guess? It's pretty simple math. What it is we think that the retailer or the manufacturer has done everything they possibly could to save us a couple of cents. They've really looked out for us. It could have been 1999. They're doing it at 1997. They're really good, folks. I love it. Yes, sir. Does Walmart actually do that with absolutely. They know the science. That's why you see a lot of 97s at Walmart. So what's the worst number then? Think of the reverse. 1992, is that good? That's terrible. 1993, it's the worst. Because it says we're going to charge you 3 cents more than we should have. Maybe 4 cents more than we should have. Should have been 1989, and we're going to charge you 1993. We're ripping you off. So the worst price you can give would be something ending in a 3. Because we think psychologically you're finding a way to cheat us. You're stealing. Not good. Okay? So, I put an example here. Oh, thank you for fixing the monitor. Put an example here. J&J had a drug-coated stent that they charged $3,500 for, like 3 times the cost of non-drug-coated stent. So you're getting open heart surgery. Open heart surgery maybe costs, I don't know, let's say it costs $30,000. Are you going to argue over the drug-coated stent that might stay in your body longer because it's $3,000 instead of $1,000? No way. No way. You're going to say, hey, give me a couple of those. While you're in there, as long as you're in there, give me a couple of those stents and make them super coated. Great industry. Pods. Pods. What's the end benefit here? The end benefit effect. You buy this machine, and then you buy coffee in its most expensive form forever. It's fantastic. I think the cost, roughly, the cost per ounce of a pod is between 5 and 6 times the cost of coffee that you buy in a bag. The end benefit effect is pretty clear. We've got you to buy the machine, and now our profits thank you. Because we don't think the pods are only $1. Not a big deal. It's only $1. Ooh, great. Computer manufacturers do a great job. You buy your $800 laptop, and do you want a cover for that? It's only $30. How much does it cost to cellophane wrap your iPod, or iPhone, I should say? I don't know, maybe it's $20, I just paid $600 for my iPhone. I'll shrink wrap it for $20. And benefit effect. A lot of money to be made when the 2 different things, one is a big, big purchase. Maybe it's a wedding, maybe it's a car, or even something as mundane as coffee. Anybody going through this recently? End benefit effect, where they have had the opportunity to buy something? Yeah, please. Oh, the microphone's already over there. Oh, okay, great. We'll come back. Go ahead.
I went through that pods experience.
Yeah.
And I don't do the pods anymore because I realized that I could, like you said, half the price I could buy a bag of coffee, and it's going to get me 10 more cups of coffee out of it. So
yeah. My dad retired to Florida, and his a nephew gave him one of these machines. And I said, are you trying to make him go poor in retirement? That's like the worst gift you can give your grandparents. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. January or February this year, I got an iPad Pro because it's cool and everyone needs one, right?
Yeah.
And then you get the keyboard, which is another like $200.
Yeah.
And then you get to the back to the keyboard, which is separate. It's like another $100. And by the time I knew it, I was like, this is really crazy.
Apple Care?
Of course, because it might end up in the pool at some time.
Yeah, and we understand, we as marketers, the more that we can understand this effect, the greater the opportunity is to make additional margin. Okay. Shared cost effect is the next one. Shared cost effect is a situation where the cost of a particular item is shared. You pay some, someone else pays something else. The rule is pretty straightforward. We're much less sensitive to price when the purchase price is shared by others. I'll give one or two examples, and then hopefully you guys will share with me. So I'm going on a business trip, and I have a chance of staying at 2 hotels. One is downtown, costs $300 a night. The other is out of town, a couple of miles, costs $200 a night. Company's paying for it. Where do I stay? Downtown. Sure. I mean, I could go a couple miles out of town and save money, but it's not my money, right? Anybody else? Anyone have a situation where it's not my money? Shared cost effect. Someone else is paying for it. Tuition rates go up at Thunderbird, but your parents are paying for it. Do you care that the tuition went up? I couldn't care less. Parents are paying for it. An example? Yeah, sure, Mike.
I just went to a bachelor party.
Yeah, okay.
Went to Canada, right? So we were out at this great pub, and there was 12 guys about to get a snack and maybe a beer or two. And we were like, well, you know, there's 12 of us here. Maybe we should all put it together on one tab and pay it, make it easier.
I was just going to say that. That's perfect. Go ahead.
So before we went to the bar, everyone was like, oh, I'm not really that hungry. I'll just have a beer and whatever.
Yeah.
But when it came time to order, every last person ordered nachos and let me order some extra chicken wings. How about an extra beer? Hey, I could probably use a cup of soup.
Yeah.
So it grew from like this really simple affair to this giant tab.
Yep,
absolutely. Shared cost effect.
Shared cost effect, yeah. So where we see it a lot, by the way, in many countries is in socialized medicine. I have a bum knee. I go to see the doctor. The doctor says, we are going to give you a CRI, an MRI, a DRI, an FRI, and a KRI. And you say, do them all. Every eye you've got, I'm fine because it's not costing me a thing. Of course it is, right? Your tax rates are up here and you're paying for socialized medicine. But the concept of it is shared cost. So no problem. Whatever test you need, I'm ready to do. Anybody else? That was a great story about going out to dinner and other people are going to be splitting the bill. Oh man, danger.
Teenagers are great at this, and this week I had an invitation to participate in funding a really awesome video game.
Okay.
And it's kind of in my son's professional line of interest. And he got me so enrolled in this, I ended up paying for the whole thing.
Yeah. There we go. Maybe another story, shared cost effect. Like I said, big issue in terms of medicine and going to see the doctor. Especially you pay a monthly fee to your insurance company, and then you just go, get all these tests, and you don't really worry about it. One more comment? Yep.
I went on a business trip by myself. My boss set up a room for me. She said, well, I think the standard room will be just fine for you. And I said, okay, whatever. And then her and I went on a business trip together to a different location. And she's, again, the standard room's fine for you. And then I heard her in her office talking to her admin saying, hey, look into the suite. What's that? What?
Yeah.
For me, for her.
Yeah.
And I said, hey. So, her shared concept was, well, you're not sharing as much. So.
By the way, it's economy class for you and business for me. Sure. Shared cost effect. One more? Yeah.
So does the concept of an open bar fit this?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But open bar is a really interesting idea. We call it all-you-can-eat pricing. So the idea there is that we feel we get a good deal if something is all you can eat. So we'll get to what we call fairness in pricing. Fairness in pricing is when we look at a price and we say, oh, they're not trying to rip me off. That's really a fair deal. I don't know if anybody been to the Diamondbacks have a all-you-can-eat section at the ballpark. It's like $42 for all the hot dogs and soda you can eat and drink. $42, and including the ticket, right? So the idea there is some people are going to go, I don't want to go to the ballpark because they're going to charge me $8 a hot dog and $5 a soft drink. And I'm going to have to lose some time to walk up and get it. So this is much more fair. I'm going to sit there. People are going to be bringing me hot dogs all game long. I'm going to eat myself silly and have a grand old time. Anybody been to a beaches resort? Maybe in the Caribbean? It's an all-inclusive resort. There are a lot of people that love all-inclusive resorts because you have a set fee, you have a value in your mind. It's all you can eat, if you will. All you can eat, all you can play. Now, it's pretty expensive. It's pretty expensive. It may end up being $700, $800 a day. But you're not sitting there spending $7 on a Coke every time you're thirsty. You just go to the little machine in your room, right? They have a machine in the room that has cappuccino and soda and stuff like that. Just press your little machine and away you go. So all you can eat is a very powerful pricing tactic. We see it all the time. I'm not sure it would be a shared cost effect because it's something you pay for. Yeah, well, then when you're at a wedding, then you're just ripping off your friends, right? You're just drinking as much as you can. But yeah, you're not paying for it at all. So it's well, maybe you are. You probably gave him a gift, right? Yeah. Hopefully you gave him a gift. I mentioned the medical plan. Fairness effect. This is probably the toughest psychological effect of pricing. The fairness effect is pretty straightforward. It describes a situation where you see a price that's fair or unfair. A lot of times it's reference price effect. A lot of times it's price quality effect. All of these things are impacting your decision whether you think something is fair or unfair. And we're very sensitive to prices when it becomes outrageous. When something is seen to be unfair, we really, really don't like it. When gas prices went back up over, $4, we think that the oil companies were gouging us. It's really unfair. Nobody should be making all that much money. Right? Disneyland just took its prices up, by the way. Anybody know how much it costs for one person to go to Disneyland today? Yeah, about $130. Think about that. Family of 4, $500 just to get into the park. But do you hear people complaining that the prices are too high? No, the place is packed. Disney stock is rocketing. Why? Because they give good value. We think that if we get good value, then prices are fair. By the way, they also offer some options for their pricing. You don't have to have a one park, 1 day plan. You can have two parks in 2 days and 3 parks in 3 days. And that's the secret to fairness and unfairness. We'll get to that in just a second. Choices. People object to paying high prices for life-saving drugs. There's that one guy who just got fired. Did you see him? He took the price up of some drug from like $60 to $10,000. Right? Anybody remember the name of the company or the story? Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Sure. I like it. Also, maybe give us an insight on this one. You go to a doctor and they can't figure it out. What's the problem? And you still get the bill for like $2,000. Yeah. Yes, please, sir.
Regards to the fairness, how does the access to information that we have today affect the fairness and unfairness evaluation? Like knowing the invoice price
question.
Has to affect that, right?
I would say we're getting better at being able to see whether it's fair or unfair. Because we're getting so much information, we can go online and put coupons for pizza. You don't have to pay full price anymore at Pizza Hut if you don't want. Just go, find a coupon. And we love that. We love that. So the more access to information, the more fair it is. And the more choices, by the way, the more choices we have, the more fair we think things are. So for example, I've got one here. Pay your Wall Street Journal subscription now, and you can avoid the price increase that's coming in 2017. So we're telling you today that the price is going up. We really like that. We think that's really fair. You're being honest with us. You're giving us a choice. You're giving us options. Yeah.
Well, the drug example, what if it's inelastic, like insulin?
Yeah, then we just moan, I think, really. Really, there's not much we can do these days.
But you said life-saving drug. If it's a life-saving drug, I'm going to pay whatever it takes to get it.
Yeah, so what we do is we do it, and then we go, they're really unfair. And we moan, maybe we join a podcast and start complaining about it.
But I'm still going to pay it.
We think it's really unfair.
Okay.
We do. We pay it. It's like some of the fees now that we find coming up. Anybody gone to a hotel and they charge a resort fee? $27. Matter of fact, some don't even tell you when you check in. It's for free local phone calls and towels on your lounge chair, and it's $27. It's really unfair. Oh, I forgot, and the safe deposit box in the room, which you don't usually open. So when we see that, we end up either, in the hotel example, we say, I'm not going to pay it, or we just go, well, I'm not coming back. They were really unfair. I had a great example. So I was at a hotel in Florida, and it said, park yourself, valet, $7. I'm not going to pay $7 to park myself. It's just like crazy. Didn't? Yep, okay. So, fairness, you overcome people thinking it's unfair, your price is unfair, by giving them options. That's why you see a lot of stores that say you can use credit card or cash or PayPal. Anytime we give people choices, we feel that they're being fair with us. Anybody have an example where they thought they were being treated fairly or unfairly in a recent purchase, maybe? Sure.
My son really likes Legos.
Okay.
We do what's called a piece count comparison.
Okay.
Star Wars Legos, buy an 800-piece set for $40.
Right.
Or you can buy a 1,500-piece set.
No Star Wars. No Star Wars, yeah.
For the same $40.
Yep.
And I mean, it's
so,
ranges, but
hey, if your child loves Star Wars, you're going to say, Yeah, wait till it's on sale. Gyms do a good job at this too, right? There's different ways to charge memberships, right? You can charge a membership fee to join, and then you can have like a monthly fee, and maybe the monthly fee gets you into one club, and then a slightly higher fee gets you into more clubs in the same town, and then the highest fee gets you more clubs all across the United States. And so we think that's fair. We go, okay, you know, we have a choice. We know some options, and then it's up to us. Mandating things is traditionally unfair. We love choice. So as marketers, the more choice we can give, the least effective the fairness effect would be. Sure. Yeah. Reminded me of interesting stat. So they did a study of people who were buying something online and stopped. So they were through the process, ready to hand over the money, and they stopped. 75% of them stopped because the price at the end was different than the price when it started. So sometimes the price was $42, let's say, for your rent-a-car, and then it was $10 for an unlicensed driver, and then $12 for picking up it on a Sunday, and then $8 for, you know, collision damage waiver insurance, and then before you realize it, it's $57 a day, and you stop. So pricing fairness, also a great word to remember, is pricing transparency. The government is actually trying to legislate this in airfares right now, so that when you look at the airfare, it's an all-included airfare, including the tax and any airport fees and stuff like that. The hotel industry is not doing that yet, but the government's getting involved in doing it in the airline industry, so that when you buy a ticket, when you start the process, and it says it's $323 to go to San Francisco, when you're ready to enter your credit card information, it's that same number. Very unfair. Like I said, 75% of unfulfilled, if you will, transactions were because people felt that the merchant was being unfair. And that unfair meant that the price wasn't being transparent. Let's go to Madonna concert. Concerts do a great job with fairness. You want to sit closer to the stage? Get to see more Madonna? Good deal, I'm not sure, or not. It's going to cost you a little bit more money. Concerts do a great job in terms of trying to be fair. Lots of options. You can sit where you want. Sound could be better or worse. Tickets reflect that. We don't like being told what's the only airfare. So all these websites like kayak.com or Trivago, they're fantastic because they help us feel that we're in control and that the final price that we're paying is much more fair. More options that you can give to your customer, client, the more fair they think your pricing is, the healthier relationship will be with your customer. Part of the fairness effect is called the payment effect. How you pay for something also impacts what you think about the fairness. Maybe you've heard about this. Is it more painful for us to pay with cash or with a credit card? Cash. Cash is much more painful. Almost every single marriage counselor And financial planner today says the best thing young couples can do is cut up their credit cards and pay things with cash. Cash hurts more than credit card. Credit card's just paper, right? The film, whatever I buy, the phone, the charge goes on another piece of paper, and I pay $25 a month, and I'm enjoying my iPhone. Who cares? But paying with cash really hurts. We think it's fair, by the way, if you give us options. The more options that you give us to pay, the better. I'm going to ask Guy again. Can you pay tuition different ways? Yeah. How can you can pay some in advance? Can you pay some with credit card? Some with scholarships? Some with loans?
Whatever option's best for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. See, Thunderbird's really fair. They give you options. That's the magic to the fairness effect and the payment effect. We talked about beaches when I talked about all you can eat. So how about this? Payment effect also, what we do is we try to break down the payment into something much more eatable, something much more manageable. How about this? So you can have your laser done. Everybody know what laser surgery on your eyes is, right? So it's only $10 an eye per month. That's really fair. I thought it was $5,000 to get my eyes done. So now all of a sudden, by breaking it down into a more manageable, edible chunk, we think that's really fair. I think I'll get my eye done now. It's so much cheaper. By the way, if your eye surgeon offers you $10 an eye, probably look for another eye surgeon. Just saying. Dollar Shave Club? Anybody familiar with Dollar Shave Club? Yeah, what is it? You get 4 razors every month for $6.99 or something like that. Yeah, so what it is instead of buying something really expensive, marketers say, well, gee, for just, and then nice low amount, in this case, right, for just $1 a week at Walmart, you know, you can get a good shave. We're just about running out of time, so I'm going to go one more chart and talk about emotions real quickly. Very key to your pricing decision is how you feel about the price. So probably the most powerful price emotion is called price resistance. Price resistance is sometimes called sticker shock. Anybody had a pricing experience where you looked at the price and went, oh my God, no way, no way. One of the things we have to do as good pricers, we have to realize that people have inbred emotions. And one of their strongest emotions is sticker shock. That they look at something and then feel that it's just way too much. How do you overcome sticker shock? Well, you really have to be excellent at providing benefits. I bought an air conditioner for my house a number of years ago. It was $9,000. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Sticker shock. But you know what the guy said? He goes, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to throw in a 10-year maintenance program. So if anything goes wrong over the next 10 years, you won't have to pay a thing. How about that? And I go, okay, I feel much better now. The next one, by the way, is called price anxiety, and we're going to stop on this one. Price anxiety is also called buyer's remorse. People buy something and then they immediately regret that they bought it. What can you do? If you're a marketer, what can you do? A number of things. One of the things you can do is you can be in contact on a regular basis with your customer. I worked for this company a number of years ago, and we had Mercedes-Benz as a client. They mailed out information to new Mercedes-Benz customers every month. You just spent $80,000 on a car. In order to stop you from feeling sticker shock, they sent out a Mercedes-Benz logo key ring with a little invitation to join the Mercedes-Benz rally in San Francisco. And then the next month they said, you know, come on in for a free oil change. You've had your car for a couple months. Let's just make sure that everything is running the way it should. So they really understood the power of buyer's remorse. And then they did something about it in order to overcome that remorse. The best way to overcome buyer's remorse is with good communication. So we're going to stop there because I don't want to run too long. And I'd like to open up the floor, if you'd like, to some questions. We'll start over here. We'll make Keaton run all the way over. And if you do have to leave, I understand, please. It's not a problem if you have to go.
How do you feel about that you don't have price change? You have box of 10 chocolate chips,
yes.
$2.99.
Yes.
And next time you have 8.
Right. I absolutely hate it.
Me too.
I hate it.
But after a while, I said, I actually don't need 10.
Yeah.
And I'm still happy.
Yeah, I really don't like it. It happened to my favorite jar of peanut butter.
Yeah.
So Skippy Peanut Butter is my brand. Used to be a Unilever brand, and it was 16 ounces of peanut butter. And instead of taking the price up, they made the hole down in the bottom of the jar higher, and it became 14.5 ounces of peanut butter. If I wasn't like the most loyal Skippy Peanut Butter person in the world, I definitely would have changed brands right away, because it's unfair. I don't take the price up. I'll pay more. I got it. But don't mess with me, right? It's just not right. So that's a good question. Yeah, in the back to Denny. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, and then pass it back. If you
can you use these methods for B2B services?
Oh, always. Matter of fact, I probably should have said that before. There's no difference in my mind between any of the pricing we've talked about, whether it's B2B or B2C. I spent 5 years in the B2B marketing services, and every single one of the principles holds true.
So, for example, the psychology effect, the fairness effect, right? So you break down each, like maybe if you're selling a software service.
Yep.
Then you could. I'm just thinking aloud here. Maybe you can break down the cost effectiveness of using your product compared to that's.
And you can, to be fair, give them some options. So you can have the 4 terabyte storage for 6 months at only $100 a month. Or you can get 10 terabytes of storage for 3 months for, $8 a month. Whatever. The best way to overcome people feeling your pricing is unfair is offer some options.
Thank you.
Good question. Can you hand that back to Denny?
I just have, so just a question. When you talk about pricing and changing pricing, what's the theory in terms of how much you can increase your price before people feel anxiety? So you have been selling your product at X dollars for like few years.
Yeah.
And it's time for you to increase your price. Can you go and do a jump of 25, 30%?
Yeah.
Or is there what's the theory telling us about the psychology behind the increase in prices?
Okay, so Denny's question is, what kind of surveys, studies, research do we have on, our ability to increase price? The The theory first and then the numbers. The theory is the better you can link your price increase to things that we know about, the more readily it will be accepted. Let me tell you, I'm American Airlines. I'm going to take my prices up 2% because the price of a barrel of oil just went up 2%. People are going to go, okay, I get it. Your fuel costs go up, so you have to take the prices up. So the first part of the question is, if you can accurately support the underpinning reasons for a price increase, then people will see it as more fair. So that part. Then the next is, how high is high? The reason I laugh is, you know, I lived in Venezuela and Argentina, and when I was in Argentina, inflation was 1,000%. And so prices were going up tenfold a day. And so it's a little difficult. Let's call it in the developing world, we start to feel pain over 10%. Any number over 10%, we balk. Matter of fact, if you did 9.9, people would feel much better about it than if you did 10. So it's like on the other side, if you're offering a sale price, by the way, if you're offering a price reduction, a lot of research has said we don't change our habits for less than 15%. We just won't do it, whether it's a $5 bottle of shampoo or $5,000 Afghan rug. We don't move. So I'd say, you know, much more than 10, nope. Maybe one more question? Yeah, please.
So we talked quite a bit on reference prices.
Yeah.
I'm curious what kind of laws, if any, are out there to minimize price gouging, to set a price at, say, $100 and then drop it?
Yeah, it doesn't exist in the United States. In many other countries, absolutely exists. But in the US, that was one of the reasons why MSRP happened, right? Is we were, you know, trying to set a reference price to avoid gouging. But there's no protection today for us. Now, there used to be, I'm going to say 25 years ago, you couldn't say, the only thing you couldn't say is you couldn't say something was new and improved for more than 6 months. That's it. Nothing. Lots of restrictions in other countries. France and Germany, for example, you can't have anything for sale less than 7% off the retail price. That's just part of the deal.
So a grocery store can set a price for something at $5.99. The next day, say it's major discount.
Major discount, though, it's probably going to be like 5% off. The French government in particular, very, very tough on just what you're talking about. They don't really want big sales. Okay. Yeah, sure. Natalia?
And it's actually a friend, not me, that lended this.
I like it.
Right? I have a friend. It is
I have
an
a
actual
friend.
I'm
We've all heard
Natalia
that
Alcohol.
story.
So her husband came up with this great idea of having a coffee. He's making this whole brand. It's all about the marketing. It's not actually about the coffee. It's not that great, but I'm not going to say the name. But anyways, he priced the coffee more expensive than Starbucks coffee.
Right.
And in my mind, I went like, wow, this is the leading brand everybody knows about, Starbucks.
Yep.
You're pricing yourself above Starbucks?
Right.
And he's like, yeah, because I want people to think that it's better than Starbucks.
Right, exactly.
And I didn't quite understand. I don't know if it's a good strategy or not. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's a great example of the price quality effect. If there's something to support it, you know, if he's got a Swiss blade grinder you know, that micro cuts the beans, and his machine sprays, you know,
He's selling the
foam
beans.
at 1,000 degrees. But you know, this again, you're talking about marketing. In the world of marketing, you're going to have to come up with.
You can't even taste the coffee. He's selling the beans.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like you can't even taste the coffee before you buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah. So beans. You know, it's so interesting. Some people would think like Ethiopia, right? I mean, it's one of the largest suppliers of beans. Some people say, I only buy Jamaican coffee or, you know, Kona coffee. Destination, you know, it can be premium price. But I think it's dangerous to charge a premium price with no rationale, right? You have to give people some facts. You know, grown only on the sunny side of, that's why fair trade coffee can be more expensive, because, you know, we pay better wages to the people. Maybe one last question, sure.
I would just like to know, how does the pricing, and I mean, you mentioned a couple of techniques out here.
Yep.
How does the jewelry industry work on the pricing?
Oh, great. I wish I had more time, by the way. I have a lecture in part of my pricing class that talks about jewelry. And the reason, to answer your question, it's all about emotion. Anytime there is emotion involved is a great opportunity for premium pricing. That's why weddings are very expensive. You know, one time. Wedding dresses. Oh my God, the average wedding dress in America is $2,700. Why? Use it for a down payment of your apartment or something, you know. So when there's emotion involved, wedding rings, great example. Anybody heard of a Blue Nile website? Blue Nile website now, I think it's got maybe a 6-7% of the jewelry business. It's buying jewelry online. And there the emotion is men get intimidated when they buy engagement rings. So the emotion there is we're going to make it much more relaxing for guys to buy wedding rings online. And they've been very, very successful.
Has it got to do something with the Veblen effect?
I would say it's, well, I'll give you the reference effect. So, men, how much should you pay for an engagement ring?
2 months.
3 to whatever she wants, yeah. The reference, the wedding industry says between 3 and 6 months of salary. 3 to 6 months salary. That's the reference price there. After Social Security, Medicare. So, yeah, the jewelry industry is a perfect one for emotion in pricing. Anytime there's, like I said, emotion involved, I'll give you another one. Hopefully I don't touch on someone who's a terrible situation. So you have a heart transplant? You're probably going to buy one in your whole life. It's $150,000. There's so much emotion involved in that. If someone told you it was 120 or 150 or 170, you'd still do it because it's, you know, it's your heart. The same way people feel about weddings, diamond rings. Whenever there's emotion involved, it's a great opportunity for premium pricing.
So I was just going to say, I had two of my kids that had open heart surgery.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, when they say, hey, your kid needs open heart surgery,
yeah.
I mean, it's not even a second guess.
No.
I mean,
yeah.
Go, okay, so what's the price on that?
Yeah. Wait a minute, I'm going to have 2. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll negotiate that.
Yeah. Can you give me like the doctors? Yeah. Can you give me like the less experienced doctor for like a couple $100,000 less? Yeah. Very good question. Like I said, it's one of the emotions we just didn't quite get to. Okay, Keaton, thank you very much again. Everybody here.